Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So, man, this video is going to have me sharing a little bit of a story, or a couple of stories actually. First of all, we had a little bit of a close call here at the homestead. Our house almost burnt down, or at the very least, almost caught fire. The other morning, I was sitting here, over there, on my computer, working, and all of a sudden, I smelled burning electrical. And it was strong. Just, oh my goodness. And I called Mr. Smith. I'm like, hey, can you come here, please? And he came and he smelled it. And we started looking around and found it. There was an outlet with sparks and smoke coming out of it. So Mr. Smith ran, shut off the circuit breaker, and we called up an electrician. And so he came out and he looked everything over and he said, okay, I see exactly what is wrong here. And he was able to fix it. And thankfully, he had a cancellation because he didn't think he would be able to come out for at least a week. But he called back with a cancellation, said, are you guys, available that I can come on out? And he said he'd be there in a short while. And so he came out, looked everything over, figured out exactly what it was, and was able to make the repair. And while he was there, or while he was here, I should say, we had him look over several other things, just check everything out. Make sure everything is good. And there are a couple of other things we're going to have him go in and make some changes to, just to bring it up to modern code. Because there are some outlets in our house that are very old. They're a kind of outlet that they don't make anymore. And while, yes, I can change outlets, I can do some minor electrical stuff, I want to make sure that this is done right. This is not something I would play around with. And so that is what we're going to be having him do as soon as he can come out and do it. There's things you don't want to take a risk on, and this is one of them. Electrical problems you don't play games with. So this is the outlet, y'all, that was catching on fire. The whole wall around it was hot to the touch, and this could have gone very, very badly. So I am incredibly grateful, because you can see the burnt wires, the scorch marks, and all of that. I am grateful that this happened while Mr. Smith and I were home, that I didn't have a stuffy nose and didn't smell this, because I was nearby when this was happening, and so I was able to smell it right away. If Mr. Smith had been the only one here, it may not have been stopped so quickly, and it may have been a much worse outcome than this. So I just wanted to share that, and just giving God all the credit and thanks for that turning out the way it did. So that aside, I'm going to share a little bit of a story with y'all. So you may recall that since we've moved in here to our homestead in the Arkansas mountains, there has been a history of animals around here. We had no sooner finished closing on our Alabama house when someone had reached out here in the area, because he had found some puppies. Didn't know what to do with these puppies, and someone else said, hey, why don't you talk to the new people? They love animals. And seeing as we had no idea who this guy was, we didn't know if he was just going to leave this litter of puppies out in the woods or anything like that, so we ended up stepping up and taking them in. And with the help of our daughter-in-law, who is, at Fort Campbell, she was able to help us find homes and rescues for all of the puppies, all but one. There was a home, but that one fell through at the last minute, which is how we ended up with Ruby, our coonhound. And then not long after that, we had a stray cat show up. He seemed like an old, frail cat. And he was very sickly, but he was not leaving. And so I ended up taking him to the vet, getting him checked out, fixed up. And his name is Milk Dud. And you may remember hearing about Milk Dud. And of course, I can never find a video clip of him when I want it. But he's the one who had the run-in with the wolf dogs that were released out here because someone decided that he just didn't want them anymore. And they ended up causing all sorts of trouble around here. But as it turned out, Milk Dud was only around 7 months old when he showed up. He was just so sickly. He seemed like he was an elderly cat. And the vet told us he's not a healthy cat. He's probably not going to have a very long life. But he can live here and be as happy as possible in the meantime. And all he does is sleep pretty much all day long. Then, of course, we can't forget the cows that just showed up here one day and started causing all sorts of chaos around here. Then it goes without saying the German Shepherd, who I tried my very best to befriend and socialize and get rescued. And unfortunately, we know that that situation did not end the way we would have liked. And then there's Otis, the young little cat, older kitten, who showed up on our property a year ago. It was Thanksgiving last year. My granddaughter instantly fell in love with him. We had somebody who would have adopted him, but Mr. Smith fell in love and decided he was staying. This is the story of my life, y'all. Oh, and we can't forget Trouble, aka Roscoe, the neighbor's dog, another coon hound who was constantly coming over here, is still constantly calling over here and living up to his nickname that I gave him. What are you doing? I promise there's nothing in there for you. Roscoe, what are you doing? Well, there might be some mice. You can have all those you want. You're making a mess. I had that all coiled up. Get out of there. Roscoe. Roscoe. As of late, he has been chasing our cats, chasing our chickens, and just causing all sorts of trouble. Oh, and I have a neighbor that lives up the road who had a dog who died of old age. And not long after his dog passed away, there was a border collie that was dumped out here who just adopted them. And they ended up taking her in and she became their new companion. And so that brings us to today. Thanksgiving week. My daughter-in-law, the one who helped us find the rescues and new homes for all of those coonhound puppies, and my son and the other granddaughter were all here visiting for Thanksgiving week. And they were staying at a nearby Airbnb. And as they were coming over one day, my daughter-in-law texted me a little video clip. She said, "Do you know whose puppy this is?" And I'm like, I have never seen that puppy before. But we just assumed that this puppy lived at one of the houses that were nearby there where she found it because, y'all, people around here just seem to all let their animals run loose. I mean, we recall the horses that were just here recently and the donkey, although that wasn't the donkey's fault. That was the power company's fault for knocking down their fence. But there's just a lot of animals that run around here. So we didn't really think anything of it. Until a few days ago, I was giving my other daughter-in-law a ride to work. And then from there, I had to go straight into Fort Smith to get my windshield replaced on my truck. And as we were driving out, I glanced off to the side and I laid eyes on the puppy for the first time. Now, they had been seeing the puppy all week long, so we know that that puppy had been out and about and around for a couple of weeks. This was the first time I had laid eyes on the puppy. And I knew as soon as I saw the puppy, my heart sank and I'm like, I bet somebody dumped that puppy. Because it was 29 degrees outside. This puppy was sitting next to a creek bed, all hunched up and cold. But at the moment, I couldn't stop because I had to get my daughter-in-law to work so she wasn't late. And I had my appointment that I had to get to. And where the puppy was sitting wasn't in a spot where I could have gotten to it. So I dropped my daughter-in-law off at work, headed into Fort Smith, and got my windshield replaced. I got done with all the things that I needed to do. And I had been talking with my friend Heather, Needy Homesteader. And I was on my way home from running my errands when I came onto the first road that brings me off the main road to come to where we live. And as I came around that curve over the little one-lane bridge, this little puppy ran out and sat in the middle of the bridge and did not move and just stared at me as though she was greeting me, just like that shepherd used to do. He knew the sound of my truck coming and would run out and just wait for me because he knew it was me. And this little puppy ran out, sat in the middle of that bridge, and looked at me as though she'd been waiting for me. Well, I couldn't move. She's sitting in the middle of the bridge. And it's a one-lane bridge, and I don't want her to get hit by a vehicle. So I get out, and I call her, and she runs to me. And the moment I laid hands on her, my suspicion was confirmed. She was skin and bones and just skinny as a rail. Filthy, covered in fleas, full of parasites, and just pitiful, dirty. So I threw her in my truck and I sent Heather a message. I said, I'm like, y'all, Mr. Smith is going to kill me. Girl, I'm freaking crazy. This puppy, I think, got dumped. And it's been here, it's been out here for like 2 weeks. I thought maybe it belonged to somebody, but I just came around the corner and it's in the middle, running towards me in the middle of the road. In the middle of the bridge, won't move. And I get out because it ain't gonna move. She's skin and bones. She's nothing but bones under there. She's been dumped. Ugh. I'll see if I can find a rescue for her. Girl, okay, calm down, baby. Calm down. Calm down. Lord help me, my husband's gonna kill me. So I came on home, I pulled into the driveway, and when I did, Mr. Smith and Bean came to the door, and they saw the puppy as soon as I got her out of the truck. And Mr. Smith looked at me, and he went, no, through the glass. And I'm like, I know, we are not keeping her. I had already texted my daughter-in-law, Annie, and within minutes, she had somebody who wanted to adopt this puppy, to rescue this puppy. But this puppy needed to get cleaned up. She needed a bath, she needed to get rid of her fleas and all that mess. So I left her outside while I was getting the bathtub and getting everything ready. And before I could even finish what I was doing, Mr. Smith had let her in the house. I'm like, what are you doing? We don't want her in the house yet. She needs to get cleaned up. She needs no more fleas. We don't want fleas in the house. So I snatched her up and I gave her a bath. All right. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. You're so skinny. You're so skinny. You gotta have a bath before anything else, okay? All right, girl? Got her all nice and clean and all of that. And of course, immediately, Willow was in love with the puppy. Oh, you're so wound up. Come on. Come on. And I reassured Mr. Smith, don't worry, we're not keeping her because Annie has already got somebody who wants her. They will absolutely take her. They're already in love with her. And his response was, well, ... You could just see it. ... That trailing well. And when he did that, I went, oh boy. Because I know my husband, y'all. And I know he's a softie and he just can't help. He just can't help it, just like with Otis. when he showed up, just like Ruby, just like Milk Dud, all these animals. So of course, right away we took the puppy dog to the vet to get her vetted, to get her dewormed, all the things, first shots and all of that, to find out exactly how old she is, because I had no idea. I mean, she was clearly a puppy. It turned out she's like right about 4 months old. We think she's maybe Heeler or Aussie mix, something like that, maybe Border Collie, no idea. My goal is to maybe try and get a DNA test done on her, but I can't do wisdom panel because it uses saliva and we have too many dogs. And in order for that to be accurate, you have to have the dog away from all other dogs for a period of time, which is almost impossible to do around here because they can't share water bowls or food bowls or toys or anything like that. And she loves to wrestle, so I'm hoping to find a vet in the area who can help me out with the DNA testing, whether it's a blood draw or hair samples. I need to find a lab that does that. Anybody in Arkansas knows a place where I can do that, I would love the information because we're very curious about what exactly she might be. But I did decide that with this one, I am going to be taking her everywhere that I possibly can. Any place that I go that she's allowed to go, I'm going to be taking her. Because I've always wanted a dog who's a truck dog, who I can take places, who's not afraid of the vehicles. But with our other dogs, Ruby, the coonhound, terrified of getting in the truck. Shotzi, our little rat terrier, terrified of going anywhere in the truck. Duke, our big old man, loves riding in the truck. But he turns into Cujo anytime you take him anywhere, so we can't take him anywhere, even though he likes driving in the truck. So I'm hoping to keep this one right here as socialized as possible, riding in the truck everywhere she can as much as possible, and just making her one of them dogs that can go out and about all over the place. That's my hope and plan. But she has immediately taken to everybody. She loves everybody, although Duke absolutely loves her. Shotzi's very guarded. Sheena is hit or miss. Sometimes she loves to play with a new puppy. Other times she doesn't want her anywhere around her. But she is a female, and the puppy's a female, and so that's kind of to be expected. But I've been reassuring Ruby she is still the queen dog around here. But the day I took the puppy to the vet, I also took her to my Azure Standard pickup because that was the same day and I figured I could just get it all done at once. And then from there we stopped off at a coffee shop and went through the drive-thru so she could get herself a little pup cup as her little treat for a rough day. Where are we at? You're doing good? Yes, you are. You're doing so good. Doing so good. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Look, what's this? Oh, you've got a pup cup? Oh my goodness. Here, look. Oh my goodness. But she's been going out and about with us at every opportunity. Now, of course, that does mean that I find myself in the situation where I am house training a puppy once again. And we're right back to having 4 dogs after, Ute, our other dog, passed away a couple of months ago. And to be honest, I keep saying we have too many animals, we have too many dogs. My goal is to get us down to 2 dogs and just stay there. As our dogs get old and, pass away, I didn't want to replace them. And yet here we are. But I knew, y'all. I knew. I knew when I heard that, that we were done for. And then later that night, it was confirmed. He decided, even though we had someone who was willing to take her, absolutely willing to open their home to her and take her in, that she was going to be staying. And I will tell y'all, that very first day that I brought her home, she had already, within a couple of hours, bonded to me to where I cannot be out of her sight. If I leave the room, she runs right after me. If I go into the living room, she's right there. If I'm sitting at my desk and she's asleep in the recliner and she sees me get up, here she comes. As I film this, she's sitting right here on the floor, sleeping. But I know that as soon as I move, she'll be right on my tail wherever I go. So much so that if Mr. Smith tries to take her outside to go potty, she will not go without me. She will not go. She's like a Velcro dog almost, but I just hope it doesn't lead to where she's got separation anxiety. We had a dog like that once many, many years ago, and it was a struggle. Oh, and so what is her name, you might be asking? Come here. Come here, baby. Come here. This is Gravy. And on Thanksgiving Day, when my son and daughter-in-law walked into the house, and my daughter-in-law's heart was breaking over this sad little puppy, she said someone needs to take her in and name her Gravy. So, meet Gravy. Hi, baby.